So that's how I see how things have been.
So how would you describe today versus then when you first came? If you had to compare the two.
Far more comfortable about the process. And it's not that I wasn't so what I say is like traditional medicine or like medicine and healing when you go to the doctor is one thing and it's linear. Whereas kind of what I would call this kind of non-traditional healing medicine.
Totally.
I don't really
Totally.
I don't really know what it's called.
There is no word for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's applied kinesiology, but it's this. What you've noticed with what I provide is that I look at the whole of you. I look at you energetically. I look at you in terms of your physical structure, pains and aches, what's going on. I look at you in terms of what accidents have you had in the past, which interfere with the process in your body. So I address every aspect of yourself. I look at your psychology, how you think, how you feel, the emotions that you suppress, and can we make inroads into sorting that out? I mean, what was most obvious about you is how the first time that you came, your chakric system was shot. I mean, it really was. Between your chakras and your auras, you had gaps everywhere. You know, like you. If I called you an engine, I'd say Nakasi had engine. You are not functioning properly.
And that's how I felt. I felt like there's something wrong. There's a for me the most obvious word to describe it is there was a confidence that was missing that I had previously or didn't have previously. But it was like not quite there, and one thing that kind of shocked me, because since being in the army and you're told to be confident and you know that you can make decisions and you know that what you think is generally right, and you gain confidence. But recently I haven't felt that same confidence, or I have, but in the back of my mind I'm like, am I really that confident? And so you've got that conflict of, you know, your outer shell saying, yes, I'm confident and I can do things and I'm powerful and such, but inside you're still, I'm not so sure. And
the way that I would describe that is that physically, you've, for example, been in the army, you've trained. So you've trained to react to physical violence or to do physical violence. And so you don't have to think about that because you can just do that on automatic. So that gives you a certain level of physical confidence. But within all of us, there is an emotional child. Which for most of us hasn't really grown up. It's still preteen. And so that part of us, when it gains ascendancy, it can and does belittle our behavior, our actions, because there we are vulnerable in ways that we are not even aware of, because most of the time you suppress that.
And when we went through the emotional, the session, we studied the emotional aspect, and we had the scale, and you said
levels of consciousness.
Yes, exactly. And you said one thing that has carried with me since that day was when you said that, you know, people who are when they start are measuring, I think it was
below 200,
below 200, you know, they're actually not very trustworthy. And that really, like, because I consider myself to be an incredibly trustworthy person, and it made me go, oh, am I trustworthy? Am I just telling myself that I'm trustworthy? Am I just, you know, using that exterior, that hard physical exterior shell to try and convince people that I'm trustworthy? really am I? And I think that really echoed into some of the problems that I was having at work, where I don't trust any of the people that I work with, but I consider myself to be trustworthy, but maybe I'm not as trustworthy as I
The
think.
world around us is always a reflection of who we are, always. But that is out of awareness.
Yeah.
So when we don't like something about someone, for whatever reason, those are qualities that we don't like in ourselves, but which we have suppressed, we're not necessarily in touch with.
So that made me think a lot about a lot of things, and it just it's been a really I've had from a really bad couple of weeks to a really good couple of weeks, and now I'm looking forward to another 2 weeks off, which I'm not taking as sick leave, I'm just taking as holiday from work, because now I feel that I'm actually now ready to take a holiday, because if I'd taken holiday a month ago, I would have had a holiday. I would have just slept and tried to get some semblance of a life, and then straight back into it. So it's been a very reflective and telling month for me. And it's happened really quickly. Like, not many people. I'm in a really fortunate situation where you kind of get this offer, and I live locally.
Sure.
So we've been able to go through what I presume would take months to do.
Well, if you were to go to a psychotherapist, you could spend months, if not years, just trying to resolve what we've done in a couple of sessions.
Yeah.
To be frank.
Yeah.
If you were to go to a medical doctor, not that I'm putting down their abilities, you would not be able to resolve what's going on with you, because your psychic bodies were shot as a result of your experiences in the military, things you had to do to survive, etc. It totally, your system was totally shot. It was there's not a word for it. It was just shot.
Yeah.
Maybe literally.
Yeah.
But it was shot. Yeah. And so, without dealing with those energetics of the aura, the Tibetan figure eights, the chakras, without dealing with that, anything else that is done with you, to you, for you, would not really work.
Yeah, and you can, and I, like, I've been to lots of physiotherapists before, and this is kind of a prime example. And some physiotherapists say, looking at my knee, well, look at my knee, and they'll look at that and go, yeah, this is where the problem is, or this is where your pain is, this is where the problem is. And then some will say, well, no, maybe it starts here, it goes to here, and it goes to here. And then some will say, it starts here, it goes to here, it goes to here, it goes to here, it goes to here. And then, but there, I do believe that there's like emotional power in people, and that, if you believe you can get yourself better for whatever ailment you have, then you can will it, and that's probably a very like my starting point of seeing this type of process, and it's but you can't, there might be problems in my hips that cause my knee to be sore, but you've got to be able to look at,
you've got to see the whole
picture. And that's not to say that, when I go to the physiotherapist for my hips or my pain in my hips, and they work on my legs and relax my muscles, the pain does go away, but it will always come back. But if you deal with the emotional side of pain and everything, then it's not, I'm not gonna come to you and say my hips hurt, and you touch me and all of a sudden I'm healed. That'd be pretty special.
That'd be pretty
And
special,
I think
yes.
you'd have a queue around the corner.
Yeah.
But what I do sometimes see is that if you start on a process, so there's like a, you know, in any, you know, you have decisions or doors that you need to go through, and if you get through the first door and that's physical pain, and then you get through the next door and it's maybe then like, oh, emotionally, if I just can relax a bit more, then the pain eases. And then the next door might be, well, now that I'm relaxed, I can see that I constantly, like, I can change the behaviors. Because, yeah, I think something that I've been able to do is maybe change just slightly tweak behaviors. Not like we talked about, not become a monk,
It's early days.
Not all of a sudden have a perfect diet or a perfect exercise regime that will fix me, but make really small changes that help. You know, like a step at a time. Like fix this part about your diet, fix this part about the way you think or see yourself, fix this part of physically, like your knee, your hips, whatever it is. So the steps.
Yeah, step at a time. No, that's great. Thank you. Perhaps you could share something about. I mean, I wish I'd videoed you from the day one, but I haven't. But I'd like you to share something about spookiness of the way that I can, when we do levels of consciousness, the way that, let me just explain what I'd like you to focus on. The way that I was able to tell when your emotional suppressions occurred in your lifetime without you telling me.
Yeah. So I guess that's it was like you use the word spooky. But it was actually a fairly in line with the way you asked my body questions. It was a fairly straightforward process. I understand that when you ask me a question and the subconscious, you're looking for a subconscious answer before a conscious answer, and you do that by allowing my body to react, to stiffen, or to go firm, or to not to relax, or to provide. It was actually, from what I could see, quite a straightforward process of you almost counting down, like, right, when was it? Between 35 and 40? Yes, no, maybe. Between 35 and 30. And I could see how you were able to narrow down
the information.
Kind of like, you know, when you're a child and you play card tricks on your parents.
Yeah.
You know, you do it in a very like the card tricks played out in a very logical fashion. You'll lay the deck out. No, you'll know what questions you're going to ask, and you have the deck laid out, and then you lay out all the cards, and you know the child and knows exactly where each card is, and then how to play those cards, and I kind of saw it a bit like that, where you have experience, you have knowledge of this subject, so you're able to put the deck together. Then you're able to ask me the questions and narrow down. You know, I'm just picking cards. I'm just answering your questions. But each question, you're then able to remove a card and leave what's left.
So what I'm leading to here is, based on the conversation we had a little while back, when I said that we could do something, well, we have done within a few hours, we've done something that might take months or years of psychotherapy. It is precisely because of that process where I can hone in to an event which you don't have any awareness of, going back to your teens, early teens, and say, you've got a trauma age 9, age 11, whatever, and it's related to this particular person in your life. And then, no, I don't recall any such thing. And then gradually, oh yeah, here we are.
And it was, you know, the some of the emotional trauma that we talked about for me relates way back, and I didn't even know it was there. It was memories that were so hidden that I didn't know were there until we started to explore, and all of a sudden there I was telling you about from my perspective an incident that really doesn't matter at all, but obviously it held some sort of emotional tie to me, that in everyday life I would forget, like a telephone number. It's in the back there, and I don't know what my best friend's telephone number was when he lived in Edinburgh, but it'll be there somewhere, and that recall helped find that point of emotional stress so that we could work through it and release it.
That's why they call it suppressed emotions.
Yeah.
Because we're very good at dismissing that part.
And what was, like, you would ask me, so there was something that happened round about this age. No, I can't remember anything. I can't remember a single thing that happened.
Everyone does that. Everyone says that.
But when you recall and you think back at it, you could go, oh God, there's this thing at the start of the year, then that thing, then and you go through all the it was really like spooky and clever. Yeah.
No, it's not clever, but certainly it's one of the cornerstones of what we do. To be able to process and to raise a level of consciousness so quickly.
Yeah.
Because left to your own devices, you'd never get there without a lot of regurgitating to keep going back. This is why therapy takes so long, because to get you to the point where you become aware of that particular emotion and then you are willing to actually do something about it is long-term time consuming. And the shortcut that we do is that someone like me can connect directly with your subconscious and elicit the information that's required for you to process now, with the proviso that you are ready to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is why I always ask, are you ready to do this? Are you ready to move up a level of consciousness? Funnily enough, I had one the other day. When I asked him, he said no. But not, with his body, he responded to me. He said, no, I'm not ready. You want to, but you're not ready. And then I realized one of his chakras hadn't been sorted. I had to go back. So the body knows everything.
Yeah.
Your body knows everything. And it's a question of getting that information from your body to respond to.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for this.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
That was very good.